All right, what's up, everybody? We are just under a month away from the 2025 NFL Draft. The majority of the first round of free agency is over. Maybe one or two smaller names gonna get signed before the draft, but most likely after the draft. Now, we had the scouting combine in Indianapolis. Now we're getting player pro days, and the juice is starting to sizzle. I'm starting to feel it. So I'm going to go through and give you my mock draft 2.0 after free agency, after the combine, after what we're hearing now, workouts, all this and that, but let's hop on into it. Okay, first up, still on the clock is the Tennessee Titans, and it sounds like the Titans are going to stay put here at number one. I know there's some rumors. What are they going to do? Are they going to potentially trade down? Do they like the quarterbacks? Do they not? But all the buzz right now, it seems to be pretty secure. Looks like the Titans are going quarterback, and it's going to be quarterback Cam Ward out of the University of Miami. Look, I think Ward is probably the best quarterback prospect in this draft class. Would I take him number one overall? Probably not. He's a little bit older. He does have some more experience. 5 years playing college football, 3 at Incarnate Word, then at Washington State and at Miami this past season. Impressed at his pro day, showed off a big arm. You know, maybe not the best athlete in the world, more of a true pocket passer, kind of sits back there and chills, but he can move a little bit. He can escape the pressure. So I think Tennessee's comfortable here going with Cam Ward. And I think it's a move you have to make with your second-year head coach, Brian Callahan, because you are not long for the coaching world if you don't get this quarterback thing figured out. Okay, next up is the Browns. Browns on the clock here at number 2. This is where the draft is going to go. You know, it hinges on this pick. Lot of talk, what's going to happen here, but I think there was a key signal, key giveaway here. The New York Giants signing both Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston over this past week. I think that signals to me the Giants think that Shedeur Sanders is not going to be there at number 3. I think that tells me the Browns are going quarterback. There was buzz that 2 quarterbacks were going to be in the first 3 picks. They weren't sure what the Browns are going to do. I think the Browns are going to take a quarterback. I think they're going to go with Shedeur Sanders. Kevin Stefanski has a good track record with quarterbacks, has a good relationship overall with Dion, I believe. So this feels like the spot, plus Shedeur Sanders could be the savior of a franchise, and that's kind of what they want. For as inept the Browns have been, it's really the ownership. The front office has not been bad. They extend Myles Garrett, but Sanders here at number 2, and now the draft really starts to get cooking. Okay, could the Giants trade back at number 3? Are they going to move back into the first round and get a quarterback after the first 2 quarterbacks are off the board? I don't know what they're doing at quarterback, but let's just take best available player. Travis Hunter, I think, is the move here. They need wide receiver. They need DB help. And guess what? Travis Hunter, wide receiver with Jameis Winston at quarterback or Russell Wilson, and then defensive back when they throw an interception. I'm sure you've heard that joke all week after those 2 signings, but I think this is a good pick here for the Giants. I wouldn't reach for Jackson Dart or anything like that, and I don't really love Shedeur Sanders here at number 3 if you're the Giants. So take Travis Hunter. He's going to be a very good player. Is he going to be able to play both ways? Probably not, but you're going to have sets and plays for him. Just add a little bit of juice to the offense or the defense. All right, and now with the Patriots here on the clock at number 4, there's maybe not the highest level of need, could go wide receiver, but they did just sign Stephon Diggs, potentially offensive line here. But let's just go best available player. Mike Vrabel, a defensive guy. You signed Milton Williams to that huge contract. Let's bring in Abdul Carter, just a super freak talented guy. Might be the best player in this draft. I think this is a home run pick, and I'm ecstatic if I'm a Patriots fan. Don't need to do anything, can stay put here at 4, have a quarterback, have a defense build around him, and we can get weapons here in the second round as well. And plus, Stephon Diggs, still think has a little bit left in the tank. Okay, Jaguars at 5. I think the Jaguars are happy. You know, they don't have to do anything. They don't have to trade up. Could potentially go edge rusher here. I don't think they're going to go wide receiver unless they really want to go all in on Trevor Lawrence, but I'm not sure that's the move. I think you can get receivers a little bit later in this draft. Just get Mason Graham. Let's keep bolstering up that defense. Get that defensive line. That's a sick front 4, front 3, really, for the Jaguars they could have going if they add Mason Graham in there. Game wrecker up the middle. Just a true freak of an athlete. He's a big boy. Rushes the passer, stops the run. He does everything excellent. Huge pick for the Jaguars. And now Pete at 6 with the Raiders. Things are a little interesting here. You trade for Geno Smith. Are you going to pair a wide receiver with him? Probably not. Brian Kelly's your offensive coordinator. These boys want to run the football. I think it might be a little bit high. It might be a little bit early, but let's go Ashton Jeanty right here at number 6 from Boise State, number 1 running back in this draft class. Some people like Omarion Hampton a little bit better, but I think Raiders, they want to run the football, play good defense, manage the game for Geno, has a very good tight end. Jacoby Myers is a fine receiver. They can draft a receiver in the second round or later. I'm not going to worry about that, but they desperately need a upgrade at running back. And I think Ashton Jeanty is a perfect fit here in Las Vegas. Now the Jets. The Jets are interesting. I think the Jets kind of believe in Justin Fields. I think they're going to let Justin Fields be their quarterback. Could they go wide receiver here? Terriosha McMillan, Garrett Wilson's kind of up in the air. Probably not going to re-sign with the Jets unless things go really, really well for them. I think they're going to go offensive line here. I don't think they go Will Campbell. I think they're going to go with my man Membu out of Missouri. Going to move him inside, potentially play his right tackle. Probably more like a right guard. Move him inside in the interior. Help bolster up that offensive line. This team's going to want to run the football, manage the game, let Justin Fields make plays with his legs, or deal with the short passing stuff, and then play defense behind it. And I think Aaron Glenn's going to figure the defense out. So give me Membu, bolster up that offensive line, which has been kind of a weakness for the Jets for the last 4, 5, 6 years, maybe 13. Who the hell knows? But it's been a weakness for the Jets for a pretty long time now. Now, the Panthers on the clock at 8. I think the Panthers are going to go edge rusher here, more like a linebacker, playmaker. I think they're going to go Jalen Walker out of Georgia, kind of a freaky 3-4 pass rusher, can play a little bit of pass coverage there, but is excellent coming off the edge. To kind of think like a Micah Parsons type, and they just need to upgrade this defense immensely. Now, if Mason Graham falls to them, I think that's kind of where they want to go. I think it's a little early to take his teammate in Kenneth Grant. They did miss out on Milton Williams. It seemed like he was going to Carolina, goes to New England, but still attack the defense. I'm not going to worry about the offense. I think the offense still has some good legs under it. I think Adam Thielen can still give you some production. We have Xavier Leggett, who had a nice finish to the year, as well as Bryce Young and Chuba Hubbard, an impactful running back at them. So massive, massive needs on the defensive side of the ball. And I think Jalen Walker is just a good, freaky kind of athletic guy that's going to make plays on this defense. Okay, now the Saints here at number 9. What are the Saints going to do? No quarterback here. I know Saints fans were kind of getting giddy with excitement that potentially Shedeur Sanders could fall to them. This is way too early for Jackson Dart, I think. I don't want to go Omarion Hampton here. Could go defensive line. There are some good edge rushers out there if you want to go edge, maybe interior. But let's just go with the best graded wide receiver on PFF's big board. Let's go with Terriosha McMillan, that kind of jump ball one-on-one, has some good downfield stuff, potentially a Luther Burden if you want to overdraft Luther Burden here and just go straight MVS style, fast burner down the field. But I think McMillan, jump ball guy. We've seen Derek Carr put Chris Olave in the hospital. Those aren't quite hospital passes for McMillan, but maybe anything Derek Carr throws these days is a hospital pass. But let's get McMillan in there. Now you're kind of cooking with gas. If you can find a quarterback maybe in the later round, maybe you trade back in and get Jackson Dart. You could have something here, one more year of Carr. You maybe need a running back as well, but this is a super deep running back draft. I like McMillan here for the Saints. The Bears, the offensive line rebuild has been the entire MO of this offseason. Ben Johnson is clearly in charge, and I think they're going to go take the risk. Now, he's got a little bit of stubby arms, but he's a great athlete, can move, pulled well, showed great off in the combine. They're going to go Will Campbell here, potentially playing him at left tackle. I think that's what they're going to do if you're the Bears. Maybe you go to right tackle. I don't know what they're going to do, shuffle around that offensive line, but I trust Ben Johnson with this offensive line, what he's going to do. And if he passes on Will Campbell, then maybe everybody should panic about Will Campbell. Maybe they go running back Omarion Hampton. I could see the Bears doing something like that. They did draft Jahmyr Gibbs pretty high in Detroit when people weren't necessarily expecting that. So that's a spot to watch out for him as well. Don't think they're going to go defense here. They're just going to completely put around the offense and hope Caleb Williams works. And the money's kind of invested on the defense anyway. So Will Campbell to the Bears. Niners on the clock here at 11. Offensive line's an interesting look. Could go with a Josh Simmons. Could go with a Kelvin Banks Jr. They could be relying a lot on Trent Williams to stay healthy, but this defense just doesn't scare anybody anymore, especially last year. Just not quite the same unit. They lose Charvarius Ward in free agency. Let's go with best available corner. Best corner on the board. I'm not a huge Jahdae Barron fan, but He seems to fit in well, can be a guy that will play impactful corner, kind of flying up and pressing everybody in his combine workout and the off the field interviews, which matters a lot. So give me Jahdae Barron here at 11 to the 49ers. And at 12, our favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, no Ashton Jeanty here for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to make another splash. Jerry just cannot help himself. A wide receiver that's flying up the draft boards, had a great combine workout. I think he was the fastest runner at the combine. People loved it. Big, impactful guy. Third downs, critical situations. Every ball went to him, and it's the in-state university that gets the most buzz. It's going to be Matthew Golden out of the University of Texas. Pair of Longhorns going back to back, and Jerry just can't help himself. He needs a shiny new toy. Could they go defensive line like a Shamar Stewart here, edge rusher, maybe, Malik Williams? And I don't know, like Mike Green feels way too safe. Michael Williams, excuse me. Like maybe a James Pierce, a freaky athlete guy. I think he's just going to go offense because that's what Jerry does. Speaking of offense, I think the Dolphins are going to go offense as well, but it's not a sexy position. Nope, not running back. They're going to go offensive tackle. I think they're going to go with the true left tackle here. The guy who's healthy, I think they're going to go with Kelvin Banks Jr. Really strong season at Texas. Did get nicked up down the stretch there, but an overall very productive year against elite SEC pass rushes. I think this is an area got to protect. My man Tua, he's got a million concussions. One more hit, he could be done. So not a sexy pick, but a solid foundational pick that the Dolphins need to try and figure this thing out, because the Dolphins are kind of in no man's land these days. All right, maybe my favorite, maybe the most projected pick that isn't number one at the top of the draft. Tyler Warren to the Indianapolis Colts feels like a match made in heaven. They got Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. Who the hell knows who the quarterback's going to be? They can run the football. They're going to run the football. They did lose a couple of guys on the offensive line, but they've built up a young group of guys behind them that they're ready to start. Let's bring in Tyler Warren. Excellent run blocker, excellent pass catcher, kind of a actually good version of Taysom Hill. And people will tell me Taysom Hill was a great player out there. So I love Tyler Warren to Indianapolis. They haven't had a great tight end since 2002? I can't even think of the last good Colts tight end. So give me Tyler Warren here at 14 to the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Atlanta. Young quarterback, Michael Penix, probably going to be a starter, still hanging on to Kirk Cousins. Maybe he wins the job back. I don't know. Could go wide receiver here. I don't like a center, but please, let's just get some pass rush, man. Some more pass rush in Atlanta. Now, they did come on late in the season, but it wasn't a sustainable thing. They passed on pass rush last year. Could they go with like a Jahad Campbell at linebacker? Yes, but I think a safer, more kind of well-rounded pick. Mike Green out of Marshall, the most productive pass rusher of these first-round guys. Huge year last year, 17 sacks. Really showed off at the Senior Bowl. Solid workouts all around. So let's go Mike Green. Not a big pick, not a sexy pick, but a really solid pick overall for the Falcons. Cardinals. Added some pass rush, you signed Sweat, you made some good moves on the line. Could go offensive line here, could go Tyler Booker in a guard. That is an area of need. But I think they go defense. The defense needs some more bolstering. And I think you go interior D-line here. I'm loving Kenneth Grant at this spot. Kenneth Grant, freaky good athlete, played next to Mason Graham. It's just like a great pairing. Michigan men, we know they're usually pretty foundational and pretty well off when it comes into the league. I think he's going to be an impact starter in the interior of the defensive line. Let's get wreaking havoc. Maybe go corner, could go with another Michigan man. Will Johnson, I think, is also rated pretty high, but I think you go attack the trenches. We see this trend. Chiefs were bad on the offensive line. Eagles are great on the defensive line. That was our Super Bowl matchup. People are going to attack the offensive line. People are going to attack the defensive line. If we've seen anything in free agency with the money getting shelled out, we're going to see the same thing in the draft. Offensive and defensive linemen are going to fly off the board out there. Now, Bengals. We need to address the offensive line, need to address the defense, though. This defense is bad. Now, they got a couple of guys back. They did get both their wide receivers signed to a long-term deal. Another spot potentially for Booker, who is your true number one, guard. Another non-sexy pick. But I think they're going to go with Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. Plug-and-play linebacker. Get him out there. He's all over the field. Get in there. Stop the run. Be physical with teams. We just got to stop anybody. If you can hold the other team to 30, the Bengals are probably going to win with the offense that they've assembled out there. So Let's get that defense back. They could not stop the run at all. Another defensive line spot, maybe a Walter Nolan landing spot as well. But I like Jahad Campbell here at 17 in Cincinnati. Now, Seattle, pass rush. And I think they're going to go James Pierce. I would go James Pierce. Potentially could be a spot for like a Michael Williams or a Donovan Izuruku. I got to get that name down. But I think James Pierce is just way too juicy for Mike McDonald to pass up. New era in Seattle. They signed a bunch of offensive pieces. Sam Darnold, the new quarterback. They do need offensive line. Another spot for Booker. I know I'm just going to hammer Booker. I feel like Booker's going to slide a little bit longer than I would like. And he's maybe not necessarily the highest graded guy as well, but he's the best interior guard, like true guard in this class. But let's go James Pierce. Big freaky athlete, SEC playmaker. Get Seattle a pass rush. Keep bolstering it. Defensive coaches are going to take defensive guys. Speaking of defensive coaches, Tampa Bay, another spot, could go pass rusher. I think they go corner here. I think they go Will Johnson. He's just too good of a value here at 19. Could be a spot where they trade back if they prefer to go defensive pass rusher. That's a deep pass rush draft. Maybe one of those teams at the top end of the second round want to move up, potentially in front of the Steelers to draft Jackson Dart. So watch out for 19 and 20 to potentially be a trade back spot for a team looking to move up for that quarterback. But we're not doing trades in this one, so give me Will Johnson out of Michigan. Let's get a secondary because Tampa Bay's pass defense has been like the worst in football the last 2 years. They've been terrible. Okay, Denver. What are we going to do with Denver? Add some pieces out there. We get Evan Ingram. We got a tight end. I wouldn't mind a tight end here from Denver. We add a lot on the defense. Let's get some more weapons for them. Omarion Hampton could be a spot for him. Could be another running back because, Sean Payton needs a running back bad. But let's get Luther Burden. Let's go straight vertical burner out there. Stretch the field a little bit. Make defenses be afraid of this offense going over the top. I know Bo Nix doesn't have the biggest arm, but it's not a bad arm whatsoever. And everything's short, dink and dunk passes. You gotta put the fear on those secondaries or you're gonna start seeing stacked up boxes up at the line of scrimmage where A, you're gonna continue to not be able to run the ball, and B, DBs are going to be cheating on those quick bubble screens and passes and causing a whole lot of problems for you on offense. So let's go Luther Burden here to Denver to take something off the top of the defense. Okay, Pittsburgh here at 21. They don't have a quarterback. It's probably going to be Aaron Rodgers if Aaron Rodgers decides to play. Minnesota could do something really funny and just sign Rodgers as a backup, and just Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback. And then they would be forced to go Jackson Dart or something here. But I don't think Rodgers is going to sign before the draft. But Mike Tomlin is going to Mike Tomlin, man. The defensive coaches are going to take defensive coaches. Malachi Starks is just going to be too juicy of a prospect for Pittsburgh not to take him. This team's going to continue to ignore offense in the high rounds of the draft. They can't get offensive line right. They can't get the quarterback right. They don't have a running back. Maybe they go running back here, but I think they're just going to go defense. I think Mike Tomlin just can't help himself, and it's probably the end of Mike Tomlin's tenure in Pittsburgh. All right, at 22, the Chargers. Let's get my man Justin Herbert some weapons, okay? Defense, we know they bring back Khalil Mack. That's a nice. Defense was the most improved unit, maybe in the entire NFL last year, but let's get me a big tight end. Let's get me a pass catcher. Let's get me a run blocker. Let's go with a guy that knows Jim Harbaugh's system inside and out. Let's get Colston Loveland out of Michigan. If he's on the board, I will be really surprised if the Chargers pass him up. And that would be a red flag to me if they do pass him up and he is on the board, especially if they go like with wide receiver, if they go with like a Mecca Ibuka out of Ohio State. I just think too perfect of a fit for the Chargers. Now the Packers. Packers, another connection. Donovan Raku. Boston College. Packers defensive coordinator was the former head coach at Boston College 2 seasons ago. So I think there's a little BC to BC connection. They need a pass rush. Could go Emeka Ibuka. They need some wide receivers. But again, he's a number 2. He's another guy I think is a number 2. I don't think he's going to be an elite number 1. And they got a million number 2s in Green Bay. So let's go with the edge rusher here. I don't like any of the corners necessarily in this spot. Let's go with Donovan Ezeriku out of Boston College. Okay, now for my Vikings. Vikings on the clock at 24. Excellent free agency, obviously. Kind of attacked the D-line. Need some help in the secondary. They trade for Jordan Mason, so I think running back's probably off the table. Otherwise, I was leaning Omarion Hampton if he was here. potentially could go safety. The big riser, Nick Imanawari out of South Carolina, monster combine, big, huge guy, ran one of the fastest 40 times, huge explosive vertical and broad jump, just a freak specimen. So that's a spot if he's on here and Brian Flores wants to plug him in that defense, I could see it, but keep attacking the defensive line. I don't think Josh Simmons is a fit for them at tackle for them. I think they go Walter Nolan, a really good run stuffer in the middle, maybe a little bit more to be desired, but if Walter Nolan's there, they're going to keep going with the D-line, keep it rotation, keep it fresh. We saw Philadelphia plays like 9 dudes on the defensive line. Minnesota, I think, will do the same thing. Even with those signs, those guys are a little bit older, so Walter Nolan adds the youth to that Minnesota D-line. Now, Houston, offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. They got rid of Larrabee Tunsil. They signed Cam Robinson. They get rid of Kenyon Green. They trade for Ed Ingram. God bless them. Let's go Booker here. This is finally the spot for Tyler Booker. If Booker's on the board, let's go Tyler Booker for Houston. They could use a wide receiver. Again, though, I just need to protect C.J. Stroud. That offensive line was one of the worst, if not the worst, in football last year. And C.J. Stroud saw a sophomore regression. They have a new offensive coordinator in there. Let's get some offensive linemen. And I think Booker, not going to turn a whole lot of heads with this pick, but he's going to be a solid 10-year starter. I would be surprised if he's not. Okay, LA, on the board. Need a tight end, need a tackle. Josh Simmons, probably your best tackle out there. Did get injured, will miss some time. I think this is a spot where he could potentially go, but I think they're going to pass up on him with the injuries. Now, they're still going to go tackle. I think they're going to like the hybrid of Gray Zabel, can move him inside into the interior. They did struggle a little bit in the interior. Now, they had some young guys. I don't know how much they believe in him. Gray Zabel is a swing player. He could play inside. He could play outside. He just feels like a Sean McVay kind of pick along the offensive line. And I like him a lot. I like Gray Zabel. I wouldn't be mad if Minnesota made a pick like this as well. Baltimore. Could need a guard, need a pass rush. Georgia, pass rush. This feels like a potential Baltimore pick, but I think they go with another A&M guy. They already have an A&M guy on the D-line. I think they go Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart really impressed in the combine. Now, his numbers aren't there, a little bit of a project, and Ravens fans are going to lose their mind because this is kind of what the Ravens do. Not the most productive guys, but guys that have a lot of upside and potential. Might drive Ravens fans crazy. I'm sure it will because the numbers aren't there, but too good of an athlete to not be a Baltimore Raven, I think. And I think we see back-to-back. Now, could we see a flip here? Detroit, I think they go edge rusher as well. Maybe they go Emeka Ibuka out of Ohio State. They could use a second receiver, but I think they're going to attack the pass rush. They lost Aiden Hutchinson. He's coming back. Michael Williams out of Georgia. Think this is a good fit for Detroit. Let's get that defense better. They were horrendous last year. Now everybody was hurt, but people get hurt in the NFL. So I think Michael Williams, there could be Shamar Stewart. We could see a flip-flop of these two picks. In my eyes, give me Michael Williams to the Detroit Lions. Okay, on the clock, the Washington Commanders maybe weren't super aggressive in free agency, signing people necessarily, but they were aggressive, making a lot of aggressive trades for the Commanders. They addressed the issue at tackle. Let's go get us a stud in the backfield. I like Brian Robinson. He feels like he's always hurt. Austin Eckler was productive. Let's go get Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. Let's get another weapon for this Jaden Daniels offense. I think the offensive line is pretty good. Now you need a guard because of the injury to the interior last year in the playoffs against the Lions. I just really like Omarion Hampton. I think this is a steal pick for the Commanders, and it feels like the Commanders have been making every right move lately, so why not go with Omarion Hampton here at 29. Now, the Buffalo Bills. What are the Buffalo Bills going to do? You need to stop Patrick Mahomes. You can't stop Patrick Mahomes. You need to get after Patrick Mahomes, and they were awful against the run. This is one of the better run-stopping DNs in the first round. Give me Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M. Again, another guy, maybe the production wasn't quite what it was at Purdue the year prior, but very good against the run, relatively speaking, and still can get after and pressure the quarterback. I think this is a good fit for the Bills. Maybe they go interior. Maybe they go with a Derek Harmon or a Darius Alexander. They just need to fix this defense. They got to be able to stop the run. in Buffalo, because if you can't stop the run, I'm going to find it hard to be able to beat a team like Baltimore again, or at any chance of beating a team like Philadelphia. So give me Nick Scorton to the Bills. Chiefs need a tackle. Chiefs have been bad at drafting offensive tackles, but if Josh Simmons still sitting on the board, they're going to go Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. I think this is pretty easy here. They signed the backup tackle from San Francisco. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, to potentially fill in at left tackle. We know Jawan Taylor was terrible at right tackle. They lose Tuna, they lose guards. I think they draft Simmons, give it some time to work it out. I think this is a good pick. He's probably not going to be ready for the start of the season. Get him in there. Get him healthy, and he's going to take over. And I think Josh Simmons has a very high upside of being a starting left tackle for 10 to 12 years in this league when things are all said and done. Okay, and finally, to wrap up the first round, Mock Draft 2.0, your defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. And I think the rich are just going to get richer. We have A.J. Brown. We have Devontae Smith. Defense really took a beating. They could use some defensive line bolstering here, potentially on the edge, but I don't love any of these edge picks. Landon Jackson feels early. I think this could be a trade out spot again if team wants to slide back in. If Jackson Dart's still available, somebody slides up to get Jackson Dart. But we're going to make the pick here, and I think they're going to get greedy. They're going to go with Emeka Egbuka, very valuable wide receiver. Maybe going to have to move on from A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith in the years coming up. So why not go for a guy like Emeka Egbuka who can slide right in, really give you a elite, probably the best number three-headed wide receiver core in the league right now. But there's our recap. Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders 2, Travis Hunter 3, Abdul Carter 4, Mason Graham 5, Ashton Genty 6, Armand Membu 7, Jalen Walker 8, Teriyosha McMillan 9, Will Campbell 11, Will Campbell 10, Johnny Barrett 11, Matthew Golden 12, Kelvin Banks Jr. 13, Tyler Warren 14, Mike Green 15, Kenneth Grant 16, Jahad Campbell 17, James Pierce 18, Will Johnson 19, Luther Burden III 20, Malachi Starks 21, Colson Loveland 22, Donovan Ezeriku 23, Walter Nolan 24, Tyler Booker 25, Gray Zabel 26, Shamar Stewart 27, Michael Williams 28, Omarion Hampton 29, Nick Scorton 30, Josh Simmons 31, and Emeka Egbuka to round out the first round. But that's going to do it for us today, guys. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. What are your takeaways? Do you like your team's pick? Where do you think your team is going? We'll have probably two more, maybe one more at least one more mock draft before it's draft day. And of course, we'll be live for the NFL draft. Depending on when you're watching this, we're probably live this weekend. We got MLB opening day today, dropping this afternoon. We'll be live for that. We got the Sweet 16 March Madness, plus the Final Four next weekend. So we got all sorts of great sports content for you guys. So if you haven't already, drop a quick like, subscribe to the channel. We got daily sports content again for you guys. If you want to support the channel more, sign up for a channel membership. You get all sorts of access to cool and exclusive perks. Help support me, allows me to keep making this great content for you guys every single day. Check out the links down below. Check out our Discord, a little community Discord. Get together, get the updates on when we upload videos, prizes, competitions, things like that we have on the channel throughout the year, as well as updates. And if you want to go check out one of your teams live, if you want to go check out baseball, NBA playoffs, NHL, head on over to SeatGeek.com. Use code afterthereview for $20 off your first purchase. That's SeatGeek.com. Code afterthereview for $20 off your first purchase. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.